Hey, everybody. As we bring season 5 of the Marriage by Design podcast to a close for the summer, I am super excited about the episode that we're going to end on this year. We're going to take an opportunity to interview Andrea about motherhood for the benefit of all the current moms and future moms that are part of the Marriage by Design community. We're huge believers in God's calling to women to be mothers, and obviously, by extension, that would also mean men to be fathers. But today we're going to focus on the calling of women into motherhood, and I can't wait for you to hear what Andrea has to share about her journey in motherhood.
Let's get into that.
Before we jump into today's show, I wanted to ask you to check out our website, brand new website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. That's marriagebydesignpodcast.com. All of our episodes are available there on that website. Love to have you pop over there, follow us there, and check it out.
If you have a topic that you're wanting more information on or you have questions about, you can search on our website by topic, which is a really great feature.
That's right. And more than anything, guys, please share this with someone that would find it meaningful for them. Without any more delay, let's get to the show. Hey, everybody. I'm Nathan Warnock.
I'm Andrea Warnock, and you've joined us for the Marriage by Design podcast, a time where we get to talk to you about God's design for marriage, what the Bible has to say about that, and how we live that out practically.
That's right. So recently we had Mother's Day, and we did not, we wanted to, but we did not come out with a Mother's Day episode because you were busy being a mother again.
Well, I didn't have Lila before Mother's Day, but
well, no, I know, but you were very
busy
pregnant.
time. Yes, yes. So we've had our 6th child. Sorry.
Yes,
we've had our 6th child. We had Lila Tatum, and she was born middle of May, and she is a girl, which we did not expect, and that was such a fun surprise.
No doubt. Awesome.
Yeah, so now we have 2 girls and 4 boys, and what a blessing.
And you got to have a water delivery, like
like in the tub.
Bathtub delivery
at the hospital.
How did that go?
I liked other ways that I've delivered better than that, actually, but I wanted to try it out, so I did.
Love it.
But, she came and the Lord was so good to answer so many prayers with this delivery. And actually, I've reflected on all my deliveries recently and how the Lord has just been so good to answer so many prayers in those specific prayers with each different delivery. And so this one had so many specific things that I had prayed about and some things that I hadn't even talked to the Lord about that I wanted. And he was so good to give those to me. And it's fun to see those times where God just gives you simple but beautiful gifts. And that was this delivery. So everything went great. She's healthy.
Yeah.
We're grateful for that.
Yeah. And in some ways, he kind of answers some prayers you didn't even know you had.
Totally.
Like at that point. And then reflecting on it, you're like, oh man, you knew the desires of my heart, even though I didn't necessarily even know some of the desires of my heart.
Yep.
So, but it was really, really awesome. And she's a sweetheart. So that makes Andrea a mother of 6 kids. We have 4 boys and 2 girls for those that maybe haven't followed our
wide
podcast.
age range.
Yep. And if you haven't followed our podcast, follow our podcast
so
that you can pick up on some of this information about parenting as well as marriage. So today we're really going to focus on Andrea's journey in motherhood. And there's a couple of reasons to do this. First of all, I think it honors the Lord when we honor mother. I think it honors the Lord when we honor motherhood as a thing. I think it honors the Lord when we honor specific mothers. and I want to honor the Lord. And Andrea's story, not a story of perfection by any means, but it is a story that I believe honors the Lord. And I hope that as you watch this, you're encouraged. One of the things that I know Andrea is going to say, maybe more than once over the course of this discussion, is that she doesn't do it perfectly. So if you're listening to this and you're going, man, maybe you've thought about, maybe you're young, married, or dating, or whatever, and you're going, well, I don't know that I am really prepared to have kids. Nobody's prepared to have kids. That's why we can really only parent under the guidance of the Holy Spirit if we want to do it right, because it's the Holy Spirit, it's God's child. So the more we rely on him, the better prepared we are to actually be a parent. And in this case, be a mother. Another reason is, speaking as a father, Andrea is really good at being a mother. And I would say, I don't believe a lot of people, I overhear them tell Andrea, like, hey, it's like you were just born to do this. And now let me finish. As someone who gets to be around Andrea all the time, I always chuckle a little bit to myself because that's just simply not true. But it is the product of a woman who is intentional with regards to a lot of things that she does, but in the case of what we're talking about today, motherhood. So if you take nothing else away from this episode, take away this. If you want to be a God-honoring mother, be intentional in the way that you mother.
Yeah.
And man, if the world isn't trying to teach us all of these ways we can make mothering and fathering easier by this device or this preschool or this daycare or this whatever the thing is, that actually make it so that we can be less intentional while parenting, man, let's shun those as much as our situation allows us to do so and focus in on being intentional. So what I want to do is just ask Andrea some fairly open-ended questions about her journey into motherhood and then just let her go. So, babe, I feel like you're totally squeezed out of the picture. So let's get you into the picture so that people can see you.
Okay, there.
There we go. And, what I'm hoping is that as you listen to Andrea kind of speak about her journey in motherhood and you have questions or comments or thoughts, that you put those in the comments, send us an email at marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com, or reach out to us through our social media accounts and ask her those questions, and she'll get back to you on those. She's good to do. So first I want to talk about, I've kind of broken this into sections, and the first section is your journey into motherhood. So talk to us a little bit about what were your expectations for motherhood, and maybe talking about it with regards to Jackson and with regards to Ryan, because those were very different situations.
Yeah.
But what were those expectations, and how do those compare to what the reality of motherhood has been?
So back when our oldest is Jackson and he's 15. And back when I had Jackson, Nathan's and my relationship was not great. If you've listened to the podcast, you understand. But we didn't have a depth of relationship, and we were on the crazy cycle a lot.
Yep.
So when I got pregnant with Jackson, it was kind of a surprise, but we were excited about it. Honestly, I was a really immature person at the time in all ways, like in my relationship with Nathan, in the way I was a wife, in my relationship with the Lord, and even in just my ability, or maybe my choices, I don't know, to critically think and think about how I feel about something. So at the time, I don't know that I used my brain very often.
Oh boy.
So I really didn't think about what my expectations were of motherhood. I didn't think about all the things that would change. I didn't ever ask anybody for, how can I prepare, whatever.
You were just doing it.
I was just doing it. Right. And the only expectations that I had was just what you see in the world,
So you would say you pretty much let society around you define your expectations with regards to being a mom.
Sure. Yeah. And so I had Jackson and very quickly struggled with, what have I done? Oh my gosh, what have I done? Because now looking back, I mean, I was a really selfish person. And so, my life had been completely upturned because now you're responsible for a child and everything changes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a massive change. And I struggle with big change anyway. This is a massive change and I don't like it. Rather than thinking like, oh, this is a massive change. How can I go with that? What does the Lord want for me in this? I was just like, oh, this is a change. I don't like it. So,
so then what was it like with Ryan?
Then with Ryan.
So there's 5 years between Jackson and Ryan.
Right. So it probably took, honestly, 2 years for me to wrap my head around motherhood with Jackson and to really start feeling the depths of bonding with him. Not that I wasn't bonded, but like really deeply bonding with him.
Right. Which would have, timeline wise, would have put you fully bonded with him right about the time your and my relationship kind of came to a breaking point.
Right. And I remember actually when it looked like our marriage was falling apart, sobbing because I thought, I'm only gonna have one child. This is it for me, and I was really sad about it.
Man, so then what was it like when you got pregnant with Ryan?
Yeah, so about 4 years after we had Jackson, I got pregnant with Ryan.
Our daughter.
She's
first daughter.
Our oldest daughter. And I was super excited, and now I'm in it with this motherhood thing. Like I understand it better and all that.
Sure.
So it was we were in a great place. I was really excited.
By the time Ryan came about.
Yes. Yeah. I was really excited, and then we had her, and the transition to having her was so much easier and so fun. And Jackson and I, it was kind of like we were taking care of Ryan, and it was a really great. But I will say, I worked full time until when I had Ryan, I was still working full time, and the moment I had her, it was almost like I remember talking to you the first day that.
Yep. I remember that
I had
well.
her when we were in the hospital saying, I cannot go back to work. I can't do this full-time work thing. I can't do it. So there was something that shifted in my heart with having Ryan. And I don't know. I don't think that it was because she was a girl. I think like that really that mother's heart just came out more with my second child. Anyway, so I was like, I can't do it with this baby. I can't do it with Jackson anymore. So it took 9 months, but once Ryan was about 9 months old, I stopped working full time. Which was a gigantic leap of faith, and the Lord's been faithful with that.
So tell me about adjusting to multiple children. Like, well, everybody wants to know what's the difficult one. Do you reach a point where it's just like, yeah, who cares? One more, right? I mean, what's it like adjusting?
Everybody has
children?
Everybody has a different hard. Like some people will say, 0 to 1 child, that was a hard adjustment, or they all say, everybody says different things, and some of it can be because of who you are, or some of it can be because of the temperament of your baby or your other kids or whatever.
So what was the hardest
for me,
you?
0 to 1 was really hard. Like I
Would you say
talked
that's
about
the hardest?
Probably for my like internal emotional. Yes.
Okay.
That was definitely the hardest.
Okay.
But then just balancing, just feeling like a balance. Probably the harder ones have been 3, going from 2 to 3, and then going from 4 to 5 was really hard. And 5 to 6 has been hard, but it doesn't feel like it's as hard as it was going from 4 to 5.
So did you just pretty much name all of them?
I mean,
the hardest ones were the ones where you had an extra child.
Not 4. But it's a funny thing. So having Jackson was almost 5 years old when we had our second one.
Yeah.
And that was a super easy transition.
Totally.
I mean, he was older. She was an easy baby.
Yeah.
That just was super smooth.
Sure.
3 was hard because...
Well, it was pretty much every 2 years.
And then from there, we pretty much had babies every 2 years.
Right.
And then, so that's hard. When you have kids that are 2 years apart, it's just hard. So, yeah, but we just kept doing it. Because we allowed the Lord to just guide that and do what he wanted with that. But yeah, those have been some tough years, and you kind of find it, you find a rhythm and all that. But it is difficult. And there's a lot of people who say, oh, once you've had 4, adding on more is no big deal. And I don't know where they're coming from with that. I've always been like, I've never felt that. It's a whole human being. There's a whole shift that happens in our family. I do not feel that way at all, even if I have an easy baby. So if that's your experience, I'm in the same boat with you. But if that's not your experience, you are super lucky to feel like, oh, having any more than 4 is just, no, it's no big deal bringing another one in.
Okay, so how has motherhood shaped your identity?
That's a really hard question. I mean, for sure, a big part of who I am is a mom, and a big part of who I am is a wife. And having so many kids can be hard to balance being a wife and being a mom to so many kids, and really prioritizing my marriage over my kids. So that's hard.
Yep.
But so yeah, part of my identity is being a mom, but I don't find my worth in that. So I certainly see a lot of flaws in myself in mothering. Being a wife and being a mom will give you a lot of opportunity to realize areas that the Lord wants to grow you in, right?
Yeah,
I met this woman, I've told this on this podcast before, but I met this woman years ago who had 6 kids, and I was talking to her, and she said, well, the Lord must have known I needed a lot of refining, because when I got married, he refined me. And every time I've had a child, I've been refined by that. And so he gave me 6 kids, and that's been 6 large opportunities for constant refinement. And it is so true.
It is true.
The more kids you have, and if you're married, you just realize there's all sorts of ick in me, that selfishness in me really is probably what it is, that needs to be rooted out. And these people are helping me to realize those things. So my identity isn't like, I don't find my worth, but I do find a lot of ways that the Lord is trying to grow me through my roles.
Yeah, it's a good distinction. Separating out your identity from where you find your value. Mm-hmm. Value is defined by God. Identity is defined by the reality, right? Yeah. There's this. We should do a podcast on this, but I hear a lot of people that are like, "Man, in parenthood and in marriage, I just feel like I'm losing my identity," and they say that as like this is a bad thing. And I often respond to those folks to say, well, that on the face, that doesn't make any sense. Like when you say, well, I'm married and I'm losing my identity. No, you've just gained an additional identity. Right. Like married is now part of your identity. Yep. And, as far as refinement goes, it's one of the things, and I'm pretty unapologetic about saying, one of God's commandments to Adam and Eve in the garden was be fruitful and multiply. You will not find anywhere in the Bible where that commandment was revoked. A primary purpose of marriage is having children. I feel like I say this every time, but I want to say it again. I'm not talking about situations where the realities of living in a fallen world prevent us from having from having kids. I know there are tons of couples out there that desire children, and for whatever reason it's not happening, and we mourn and pray for and with those couples. But let's not get it confused. There's a huge number and growing number of folks, Christian folks, that are going, I don't know that we want to have kids. I don't think it's an overstatement to say that's a sin, because it's disobedience to what the Lord asks of us. But more soft than that, I think you really are hurting you when you make that decision. Because I just simply would not be the man of God that I am were it not for the refinement that he's brought me through being married to Andrea and being the father of my children. And had I foregone that, of course, I could still be a Christian. Of course, the Lord would still refine me through other relationships and through the world around me. But I think I would really be missing out on a primary means of my own being molded and crafted into the man of God that he desires me to be. And I think you would say the same.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so how has motherhood shaped your relationship with God?
Yeah, it's kind of, there are so many parts of, because God describes his relationship with us as a father with a child and as the bride and bridegroom, marriage and children, being married and having children helps me to so much better understand the Lord's heart. I mean, a simple thing is I have to discipline my children, right? I don't want to. I don't like to. It would actually be easier for me in the moment if I didn't.
Right.
But I have to discipline them for their good and for them to understand the importance of being obedient to the Lord. And I can understand the Lord and his need to discipline me because I have kids.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. So I feel like there's a whole other level of the Lord that I understand because of being a mother. And there's a whole new level of dependence on the Lord that I have because of being a mother. And my kids say things and do things that like spur me on in my faith too, or that make me think things that I never would have either. So it's changed my relationship in that it's brought in depths that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And, epiphanies that I wouldn't have had, and moments that I'm like, man, this is the Lord right here. So yeah, it's just brought a deeper level and a better understanding of parts of the Lord that I wouldn't have otherwise.
And how has your role as a mother shaped your relationship with me?
Well, it definitely limits our time together.
That's true.
But when you've probably everyone's heard this, but when you have a child with somebody that you love, that kind of cements your bond together a little bit more and gives you, we've had some pretty incredible moments of birthing children and raising children, and so many memories that's given us. And our bond is stronger because we have kids. And
No doubt.
really sometimes those kids have kept us together.
Well, Jackson, certainly.
Back when we were falling apart, I think it was really the Lord's mercy that we had Jackson, because I don't know that we would have stayed together.
Yeah.
A big reason for me for staying with Nathan in that time was I couldn't bear the thought of raising Jackson in a broken home.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, there's times that our kids have kept us together or at that time. And sometimes that they really strengthen our relationship. Sometimes kids can, of course, cause you to drift away from each other because kids take so much of your time. But again, with the intentionality, if you're intentional to recognize, oh my gosh, we're kind of drifting apart. We can't let that happen.
Yeah, it makes us more intentional.
It
and
actually,
creative.
yes, it makes us definitely more intentional and creative. And, I often think of what our life will look like when we don't have our kids around, and we'll just have, we'll have lots of grandkids around, I'm sure, but
Lord willing.
But we'll have so many shared experiences because of our kids that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. So how do you balance your role as a mother with your role as a wife and in ministry and just as an individual, as a friend to your Christian community?
It's a lot of intentionality.
Right. Common theme.
Nathan a few years ago started on this journey of like being way more scheduled and intentional, and everything gets scheduled out. And at
How does
first,
that make you feel, babe?
well, at
Like
first I wanted to cry, but I really followed along with him, and as he led us in that. And we have found that we can be so much better at being parents and being married
100%.
and being friends and all of that because we try to be so intentional with our time, our waking moments.
Yep.
And so it's certainly a hard balance when you've got kids and you've got so many other hats that you wear too.
Right. Yep.
But Nathan's really great with like keeping the dates on the calendar for us, keeping our
dating
date
each other,
nights
like,
together.
nights.
Yep.
Thanks.
And we schedule special times with our kids. I mean, we don't schedule like spending time with our kids, but time to do special things with them. We schedule those, which are important, and we schedule time with our friends. So it can be a hard balance, but just choosing like, I'm going to make the time, I'm going to put it in the calendar, and I'm going to do it helps to wear those hats well or better than otherwise.
Okay, so I want to transition a little bit to the joys and rewards of motherhood, and I'm going to start with a drill. I'm just going to say the names of each of our 6 kids, and I want you to just say one word that categorizes your relationship with them in your viewpoint. So,
oh man.
So
I'm bad at these one-word things.
Jackson first.
Sarcastic.
So your relationship with him, you would say,
fun.
Is sarcastic.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a fun relationship.
Yeah, he's a teenager. He's 15, so he's right in that age where can be sarcastic sometimes to a fault, and sometimes we have to correct him on that. But I do think that's a fair.
Yeah,
statement.
I mean, I think we both enjoy it.
Okay, Ryan.
Sweet.
Riker.
She's my little mama, so we get have a lot of sweet time together, being girls.
Okay, Riker.
Let's see.
The younger
Riker,
ones are harder because there's not as much built out personality. And let's just face it, the younger ones, it's more of a dated moment by moment discipline at times.
Riker it depends upon the moment. I'm thinking of 2 different things. It depends upon the moment. Like, it can be rough and it can be snuggly.
Ha!
So that's kind of Riker.
All right.
Like rough play.
Lincoln. Old man.
Yes. Thinking of I would say what categorizes my relationship. He is a mama's boy.
Not one word.
I know. Are
you putting it together? Mama's boy.
Mama's boy. He's a mama's boy.
Yes, he is.
Very hard. Wants to hit mom's heart. Like, wants to get to my heart.
Yep. Easton.
Naughty.
That's so true. He's 3.
He's a sour patch
he's
kid.
Trying to
There you
figure
go.
it out.
He's a sour patch kid. He's naughty and
First
sweet.
he's sour and then he's sweet.
Yes.
Yep, that's fair. Lila. What would you say?
She's a girl. I'm
blessing.
she's a very unexpected blessing.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, she's whatever she is, 3 weeks. So, but yeah, for sure. Okay, so motherhood is difficult. There's a lot of discipline that goes on. There's a lot of challenge to be consistent in discipline. But to mothers out there or future mothers, what practical tips would you tell them so that the realities of discipline and all of that don't overwhelm the joy? If you understand what I'm asking. Like, how do we recognize as moms the daily joys of parenting so that we don't get caught in that cycle of like, oh, I just can't wait till they're 3. I just can't wait till they're 5. I just can't wait till they're 8. Now they're 23 and they're gone.
Yeah. So as far as discipline, this is advice I often have to like reset on myself for myself too. But discipline has to be consistent, because if you're not consistent, that's just not fair to the child. Yeah. And again, it's something that I need to reset with myself all the time. Because it gets overwhelming to be consistent with discipline, especially when you have several children that you're disciplining. But they learn very quickly. If you're consistent with discipline, they learn very quickly, and they are much more of a joy to you, and you become much more of a joy to them when they're disciplined well. So, there's that. Seasons with our kids change so quickly. A moment or a time that you're like maybe so frustrated in motherhood can change on a dime. Really on a dime. It is crazy. But I'm a very in the moment person. Like, even if I have something super exciting coming up with my kids, I don't want to feel like time is going fast to get to that moment, because I want to live in the moment. I want to live where I'm at right now. Not necessarily when everybody's being so naughty, but but I really am I don't want this to go fast, because I know life goes fast as it is. And so I really want to enjoy the right now. I don't know really how I got to that point in life, because I definitely used to be like I just can't wait till this. I can't wait till this.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a lot of, I prayed a lot that the Lord would help me to live in the moment. And a lot of thinking back on what have I been through already that I've loved, but I didn't really take the time to love it well when I was there, because I was just trying to get through it. So I don't know that I have, other than just being asking the Lord to help you live in the moment. And that's it.
That's great.
That's it. And he has been so good to answer that prayer for me, because I really just I'm not looking forward to the next thing, because I really just love where I'm at right now, even if it's hard. We talk sometimes about like when we're empty nesters, and it sort of makes me cry, because I know I'm going to love having life with just Nathan, but like, I know it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah. Makes me cry too. No, you're right. You're right.
I am
you're
excited
right.
for that, but I know I'm going to,
yeah, you bet,
miss what we have. So,
because that'll be the end of that season. And you're right.
And really right now, the season that we're in is hard. Bringing a newborn home is hard.
Yep.
Particularly when you have, like, I think the kids are harder than the newborn sometimes.
Sure.
And
that's right.
So where we're at right now it's really hard, but I don't wish it away, because the newborn phase is so short, and because just even the kids' ages where they're at it's just goes by in an instant.
Great.
So
It's great. All right. We're going to turn this interview into 2 episodes
Okay.
because
This is
we're
getting
running
long.
up on time, and I don't want to make this too long of an episode. So we're going to call it for today. We'll put the second half of this episode out next week because I think it's super beneficial to get this information out there. If you know someone who is struggling with motherhood or struggling with the idea of motherhood, please share this with them. Hopefully they can be encouraged that there are others out there that motherhood's hard, but through Christ we can overcome.
Yeah.
Look forward to the second part of this episode coming at you next week. Until then, mothers, remember God is for you and he's for your marriage.
Thanks so much for listening. We just wanted to say, if you have a comment, a question, something that you're struggling with or need prayer, please reach out to us. You can get a hold of us by emailing marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com, or of course you can comment on any of our social media and we will get back to you. But if you have something private, feel free to email us. We're personally respond to you.
That's right. And we do respond to every comment that we receive, either through our website, through YouTube, through our social medias, which leads me to feel free to pop over to our website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. You can leave comments on any of our videos through that site. We would love to be able to connect with you, but please don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you just need prayer, you need someone to hear what you're going through, we're here for the Marriage by Design community, so feel free to reach out anytime. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.